Beloved, listen carefully. God was never meant to be a Sunday guest in your life. He desires to be the daily governor of your thoughts, your decisions, your work, and yes, your finances. Many people pray for money, but few invite God into the process of earning, managing, and multiplying it. When God is only invited after financial trouble comes, we struggle. But when God is invited first, provision follows. Financial strength does not begin in your bank account. It begins in your spirit, your mind, and your faith vision. God is not against wealth. He is against wealth without purpose. He wants you strong, not just spiritually, but financially, so you can live without fear, help others, and fulfill your calling. When you invite God, He does three things. He corrects your thinking, He orders your steps, and He opens doors no human can shut. Most financial battles are not happening in wallets, bank accounts, or workplaces. They are happening quietly in the mind. Before money ever leaves your hand, it has already passed through your thoughts. If your thoughts are filled with fear, limitation, and past failure, your financial life will reflect that. This is why inviting God into your thoughts about money is not optional, it is foundational. When God enters your thinking, He does not just change what you have, He changes how you see, decide, and act. Many people wake up every morning already defeated in their thoughts. They look at their phone, see bills, expenses, school fees, rent, or responsibilities, and immediately think, this is too much for me. That thought seems harmless, but it silently programs the mind for struggle. When God is not invited into those thoughts, fear becomes the advisor. But when you pause and say, God, help me see this the way you see it, something shifts. The same bills are there, but panic leaves. Peace enters, clarity replaces confusion. The mind stops racing and starts trusting. Think of a student who believes, I come from a poor background, so I will always struggle. That belief quietly limits effort, expectation, and courage. The student studies less confidently, dreams smaller, and accepts less. But when God is invited into that thought pattern, the inner voice changes. My background does not determine my future. God is my source, not my situation. Suddenly, the student studies with hope, applies for opportunities boldly, and steps into rooms they once felt unworthy of. Nothing changed externally at first, only the thought. But that thought becomes a doorway to a new financial future. Consider a person working a regular job, earning just enough to survive. Every day they think, this is all I can do. This is all I deserve. Those thoughts keep them trapped even when opportunities appear. They ignore learning new skills, avoid promotions, and fear starting something new. But when God is invited into those thoughts, He replaces limitation with possibility. The mind begins to think, God can bless me beyond this position. I can grow, I can learn, I can increase. That person starts watching educational videos instead of scrolling endlessly, saving small amounts instead of spending impulsively, and praying before making decisions. The job stays the same for a while, but the future quietly changes direction. Many people sabotage their finances through guilt-filled thoughts. They think wanting money is wrong, that being financially strong makes them greedy, or that poverty is holiness. These thoughts create inner conflict. They work hard but feel uncomfortable receiving more. They reject blessings without realizing it. When God is invited into these thoughts, truth replaces confusion. The mind understands that money is a tool, not an identity, that being financially strong allows generosity, security, and service. A person who once felt guilty dreaming bigger now feels aligned with purpose, and alignment attracts increase. Daily life proves this again and again. A mother standing in a grocery store calculating prices may think, I never have enough. That thought brings stress, frustration, and resentment. But when she invites God into that moment, her thinking changes to, God, teach me wisdom and provide what I need today. She becomes calmer, makes wiser choices, and carries peace home. Over time, that peace influences better planning, better conversations, and better financial habits. The miracle did not begin with more money. It began with a renewed thought. A business owner who once failed may carry the thought, I tried and lost, I shouldn't try again. That single thought can kill years of potential. When God is invited into that memory, He reframes it. Failure becomes a lesson, not a verdict. The thought changes to, God trained me through that season. The same person starts again, this time wiser, more careful, and more prayerful. What once looked like a dead end becomes a foundation for growth. Thoughts also shape how people react to delay. Without God, delay produces complaints. Why me? Why always me? With God invited, delay produces preparation. What can I learn while I wait? Waiting time becomes training time. A person waiting for financial breakthrough uses the season to build skills, strengthen discipline, and grow faith. When increase finally comes, it does not destroy them, it sustains them. Even small daily choices reflect this principle. Someone who thinks, I deserve to spend because life is hard, will leak money through emotions. Someone who invites God into their thinking pauses and asks, is this wise? Does this serve my future? That single pause saves money, builds discipline, and creates long-term strength. Inviting God into your thoughts about money means letting Him sit at the table of your imagination, your planning, your worries, and your dreams. It means replacing I can't with God can guide me. Replacing I lack with I am learning stewardship. Replacing it's impossible with God, I will find a way. When thoughts change, attitudes change. When attitudes change, actions change. When actions change, results follow. Many people separate their faith from their work. They pray in the morning, then step into the workplace as if God must wait outside. But daily work is not separate from God. It is one of the main places where God wants to move. When you invite God into your daily work, ordinary effort begins to carry extraordinary results. Work stops being a burden and starts becoming a channel through which wisdom, favor, and increase flow. Think about a person who wakes up already tired before the day even begins. They say, another long day, same work, same pay, same struggle. That mindset drains strength before the work starts. But when that same person pauses and says, God, walk with me into this day, guide my hands and my mind, the atmosphere changes. The job may not change immediately, but the inner strength does. Energy rises, focus sharpens. Work is no longer just survival, it becomes purpose-driven. Consider a teacher standing in front of a noisy classroom, feeling unappreciated and underpaid. Without God invited into the work, frustration grows, patience shrinks, and excellence fades. But when the her silently invites God, something shifts inside. Teaching becomes a calling, not just a duty. Words carry impact. Students respond differently. Unexpected opportunities appear. Recommendations, promotions, new doors. The same classroom becomes a place where God honors faithfulness. Think of a shopkeeper opening the store early every morning. If the thought is only, will I make enough today? Anxiety controls decisions. Fear leads to shortcuts, dishonesty, or despair when customers are few. But when God is invited into that daily work, the prayer changes to, God, help me serve with integrity and wisdom today. The shopkeeper treats people better, manages money more carefully, and stays calm even on slow days. Over time, trust grows, customers return, and stability builds. What looks like coincidence is actually divine partnership. Daily work also includes unseen labor. A mother managing a home may feel her work has no value because it does not bring a paycheck. Without God involved, comparison and discouragement creep in, but when God is invited into that work, dignity returns, organization improves, peace fills the home. Children feel secure, even finances become easier to manage because discipline, order, and wisdom grow. Work that seemed invisible becomes powerful. Many people fail not because they lack talent, but because they work alone, carrying stress, pressure, and responsibility by themselves. Inviting God into daily work means handing over the pressure. A software developer facing deadlines may feel overwhelmed, staring at a screen with a tired mind. When they invite God, clarity replaces chaos. Solutions come faster. Creativity returns. What took hours now takes minutes. The work becomes smoother, not because the person suddenly became smarter, but because divine help entered the process. Think about someone working under a difficult boss. Without God involved, bitterness grows. Complaints increase. Motivation dies. But when God is invited into that environment, perspective changes. The person begins to work with excellence regardless of recognition. That excellence becomes a testimony. Favor follows. Either the environment changes or God opens a better door. No sincere work done with God remains wasted. Daily work also shapes character. When God is not invited, people cut corners, arrive late, waste time, and justify laziness. But when God is consciously invited, integrity becomes natural. The person works well even when no one is watching. That consistency builds trust, and trust attracts responsibility. Responsibility attracts promotion. Promotion attracts financial strength. It begins with inviting God into the daily routine, not waiting for a miracle moment. Even students experience this truth. A student who studies only to pass exams feels pressure and fear. But a student who invites God into daily study finds discipline and understanding. Learning becomes enjoyable, confidence grows, performance improves, scholarships owe opportunities, and future income paths open up. Not because of luck, but because God was welcomed into daily effort. Inviting God into daily work also brings protection. Many people make costly mistakes at work. Wrong decisions, careless errors, emotional reactions. When God is invited, the inner voice becomes alert. A pause before speaking saves relationships. A moment of restraint prevents loss. A sense of caution avoids trouble. God's guidance quietly shields income and reputation. Daily work, when done with God, becomes training ground for greater things. Faithfulness in small tasks prepares the heart for bigger responsibilities. A person who honors God while sweeping floors learns discipline that later manages businesses. A person who invites God into small sales learns principles that later multiply investments. God often tests partnership in the ordinary before releasing the extraordinary. When God is invited into your daily work, effort gains meaning, patience gains strength, and consistency gains reward. Work stops draining life and starts building a future. The same hands do the same task, but heaven's help makes the difference. Every major shift in life begins with a decision. Long before success or failure shows up, a choice has already been made in silence. Many people pray for blessing but rush through decisions alone, guided by emotions, pressure, or fear. When God is not invited into decisions, even good intentions can lead to painful consequences. But when God is invited, decisions become seeds of stability, growth, and long-term strength. Think about how people often decide under pressure. A sudden opportunity appears, a deal sounds attractive, or someone promises quick results. Without God involved, excitement takes over, logic weakens, questions go unasked. Later, regret arrives. But when God is invited into that moment, there is a pause. That pause is powerful. In that pause, wisdom speaks. What looked urgent begins to reveal hidden risks. The decision may be delayed, adjusted, or avoided entirely, saving years of loss. Consider a young person choosing a career path. Without God, the decision is often driven by comparison or money alone. This pays more, so I must do it, even if it brings no peace. Years later, frustration, burnout, and dissatisfaction follow. But when God is invited into that decision, clarity replaces confusion. The question shifts from what pays the most to where can I grow, serve, and prosper with peace. The choice may not look glamorous at first, but it leads to fulfillment and sustainable success. Daily life is filled with small decisions that shape financial destiny. A person decides whether to spend or save, whether to react emotionally or respond wisely, whether to follow the crowd or stay disciplined. Without God, decisions are often based on mood. A bad day leads to impulsive spending. A good day leads to careless promises. When God is invited, emotions no longer control choices. Wisdom takes the lead. That wisdom quietly builds strength over time. Think of someone choosing a business partner. Without God, charm and words are enough to convince them. Red flags are ignored. Later, betrayal or loss appears. But when God is invited into that decision, discernment rises. Uneasiness is felt. Questions come to mind. Delays feel necessary. What looks like intuition is often divine guidance protecting the future. Even relationships are decisions with financial consequences. Choosing the wrong friends, advisors, or companions can drain resources and direction. Without God involved, people follow popularity or pressure. With God invited, the heart becomes selective. The person learns to value alignment over approval. That one decision protects time, energy, and money. Many people struggle because they decide quickly but recover slowly. One wrong decision can cost years. Inviting God into decisions reduces recovery time. When mistakes happen, correction comes faster. Awareness sharpens. Lessons are learned without permanent damage. God does not only guide before decisions, He also redeems after them. Think about a person deciding whether to take a loan. Without God, desperation leads the choice. The question becomes, how fast can I get it? Later, stress multiplies. When God is invited, the question changes to, is this necessary? Is this wise? Is there another way? Sometimes the answer is no. Sometimes the answer is wait. Sometimes the answer is proceed with caution. That guidance saves peace and stability. Even everyday conversations involve decisions. Words spoken in anger can destroy trust and opportunity. Without God, reactions are instant. With God invited, restraint appears. Silence replaces damage. That silence protects reputation, relationships, and future doors. Decisions also determine direction. A person deciding how to spend free time either grows or stagnates. Without God, time is wasted unconsciously. With God invited, time becomes intentional. Skills are developed. Knowledge increases. Opportunities expand. What seemed like small choices accumulate into powerful outcomes. Inviting God into decisions means acknowledging that human vision is limited. It means trusting that divine wisdom sees beyond the moment. It means choosing guidance over impulse, patience over pressure, and peace over panic. Each God-led decision becomes a brick in a strong foundation, quietly shaping a life of stability, growth, and purpose. Giving is not first an action of the hand. It is an agreement of the heart. Many people give mechanically, emotionally, or occasionally, but when God is not invited into giving, it becomes heavy, fearful, and inconsistent. Some give and then worry, some give and then regret, some hold back because they are afraid of tomorrow. But when God is invited into giving, the fear disappears and confidence rises. Because giving is no longer about loss, it becomes about trust. Think of a person who earns a modest income and feels every expense deeply. When an opportunity to give appears, the first thought is often, what if I need this later? That thought closes the heart. But when God is invited into that moment, the inner dialogue changes. God, you see my needs better than I do. Teach me how to give wisely. That single prayer transforms giving from pressure into peace. The amount may be small, but the faith behind it is powerful. Consider a worker who receives a salary increase. Without God involved in giving, lifestyle increases faster than generosity. More spending replaces more purpose. But when God is invited into giving, the first thought becomes gratitude instead of entitlement. The person begins to ask, who can I help? What can I support? That mindset keeps the heart free even as income grows, and freedom attracts further increase. Everyday life offers countless examples. A person sees someone struggling nearby. Without God, the mind calculates inconvenience. I worked hard for this. With God invited, compassion speaks louder than calculation. The person gives not to impress, not to earn praise, but because love leads the action. That giving may look ordinary, but it strengthens the giver's spirit and reshapes their relationship with money. Giving also heals the fear of lack. A family that hoards out of fear remains anxious, even when they have enough. But a family that invites God into giving experiences peace, even when resources are limited. They plan, they budget, they intentionally, and somehow their needs are met again and again. The miracle is not always dramatic, but it is consistent. Think of a business owner deciding whether to pay workers fairly during a difficult season. Without God, fear leads to cutting corners. With God invited, integrity guides the choice. The owner chooses fairness, trusting God for provision. That trust builds loyalty, reputation, and long-term success. Giving in this case is not charity, but righteousness in action. Giving also reshapes identity. A person who never gives often feels controlled by money. A person who gives with God feels empowered over money. The same currency that once caused anxiety now becomes a tool for impact. The giver no longer asks, "Will this be enough for me?" but "How can this serve a greater purpose?" Even students and young people experience this principle. A student with limited resources chooses to share time, skills, or small finances. Without God, it feels pointless. With God invited, the act becomes meaningful. Doors open. Help comes from unexpected places. Generosity plants seeds in relationships and opportunities long before money arrives. Giving also corrects selfish habits. Daily life encourages consumption. Buy more, keep more, protect more. Inviting God into giving breaks that cycle. The heart learns balance. Enjoyment no longer turns into excess. Discipline grows naturally. Financial strength begins to form quietly through generosity guided by wisdom. Many people misunderstand giving as loss because they only see the moment, not the process. When God is invited, perspective changes. Giving becomes participation in something larger. It builds faith muscles. It trains the heart to trust beyond what is visible. The giver learns that provision is not limited to one source, even when giving feels uncomfortable. Inviting God brings reassurance. The inner voice whispers peace instead of panic. The hand releases without trembling. The heart rests knowing it is not alone. Giving becomes an expression of partnership, not pressure. In daily routines, giving shows up in simple ways, helping without expecting return, sharing without announcing it, supporting without control. Each act shapes character. Each act loosens fear. Each act aligns the heart with abundance rather than scarcity. When God is invited into giving, generosity stops being an obligation and becomes a lifestyle guided by faith, wisdom, and trust. Vision is not just about what you want to achieve. It is about how you see your future while standing in the present. Many people move through life reacting day by day, hoping things will somehow improve. Without God invited into vision, dreams remain vague, inconsistent, and easily discouraged. But when God is invited into your vision, the future becomes clear, purposeful, and anchored in faith rather than fear. Think of a person who wakes up every day without a clear direction. They work hard, stay busy, yet feel stuck. Without vision, effort scatters. Energy is spent without progress. When God is invited into vision, the question changes from "What should I do today?" to "What am I building?" That single shift transforms routine into strategy. Daily actions gain meaning because they connect to a larger picture. Consider a young adult unsure about the future, constantly comparing themselves to others on social media. Without God involved, comparison steals peace. The vision becomes borrowed, unrealistic, and stressful. But when God is invited, the focus turns inward and upward. The person begins to see their own path clearly, no longer chasing someone else's timeline. Confidence grows because vision now matches purpose, not pressure. Vision also protects from distraction. In daily life, opportunities appear that look attractive but pull focus away from long-term goals. Without God, people chase everything and complete nothing. With God invited, discernment sharpens. The person learns to say no without guilt and yes with conviction. Time, money, and energy are invested wisely because vision provides direction. Think of a small business owner who starts without clarity. They try many ideas, change plans frequently, and feel exhausted. When God is invited into vision, simplicity emerges. One clear direction replaces confusion. The business begins to grow steadily, not because effort increased, but because focus did. Vision aligned with God brings peace even during slow seasons because the path is known. Vision also sustains during difficulty. A person without God-guided vision quits easily when challenges arise. Without purpose, pain feels pointless. But when God is invited, challenges are seen as preparation rather than punishment. The vision remains alive even when progress feels slow. Hope stays strong because the future is trusted. Even families benefit from vision. Without God, families drift, reacting to crises as they come. With God invited, values are established, financial goals are discussed, priorities are aligned, children grow up with clarity instead of confusion, the home becomes a place of direction, not chaos. Vision affects how people handle money. Without vision, money is spent impulsively. With God invited, spending becomes intentional. Every purchase is measured against the future being built. Saving feels purposeful. Sacrifice feels meaningful. Financial discipline becomes easier because vision gives it a reason. Students also experience this. A student without vision studies only to survive exams. With God invited, learning becomes preparation for calling. Motivation increases. Persistence grows. Academic effort turns into long-term investment. Vision also shapes emotional health. Without vision, setbacks feel final. With God invited, setbacks are temporary. The person sees beyond the moment. Tears do not cancel dreams. Delays do not destroy hope. Vision anchored in God remains steady through change. Inviting God into vision means allowing Him to define success. Success stops being about comparison and starts being about fulfillment. The pressure to prove disappears. The desire to grow remains. Life stops being rushed and starts being intentional. Vision becomes a compass. It guides decisions, strengthens patience, and fuels perseverance. Each day becomes a step towards something meaningful rather than a repetition of survival. When God is invited into vision, the future stops being uncertain and starts becoming purposeful, clear, and alive in the present. Faith confession is not about speaking loudly, it is about speaking deliberately. Every day, people confess something about their lives, often without realizing it. They say, "I'm tired, nothing works for me, I will never get ahead," and those words quietly shape their reality. When God is not invited into faith confession, words become emotional reactions. But when God is invited, words become alignment with truth, power, and direction. Think about how a day usually begins. Many people wake up already declaring defeat. They look at their schedule, responsibilities, and problems and say, "This day is going to be hard." That confession sets the tone. Energy drops, motivation weakens. But when God is invited into faith confession, the morning dialogue changes. Instead of speaking pressure, the person speaks trust. Instead of predicting failure, they declare strength. The same day unfolds differently because the mind and spirit were guided by faith-filled words. Daily life constantly tests this. A person facing financial pressure may repeatedly say, "I'm always struggling." Over time, that confession becomes identity. Decisions are made from that mindset. Fearful, small, defensive. But when God is invited, the confession changes to, "I am learning, growing, and being guided." The pressure may remain for a while, but hope replaces despair. Actions become wiser. Opportunities are noticed instead of ignored. Words spoken at work matter deeply. A person who constantly says, "My job is useless," begins to treat it that way. Performance drops, favor fades. But when God is invited into faith confession, even ordinary work is spoken about with dignity. "This is where I am growing, I am gaining skills, God is with me here." Those words reshape attitude, and attitude reshapes outcomes. Parents experience this power daily. A parent overwhelmed by responsibility may say, "I can't handle this." That confession breeds exhaustion. When God is invited, the words shift to, "God gives me wisdom and strength." The situation may still be demanding, but peace enters, patience increases, the home atmosphere changes because the confession changed. Faith confession also determines how people handle failure. Without God, failure is confessed as final. "I failed, so I am a failure." That statement wounds confidence and blocks progress. With God invited, failure is confessed as temporary. "I learned and I will rise wiser." That confession keeps momentum alive. Even health is affected by confession. A person who constantly speaks weakness trains the mind to expect it. When God is invited, the confession becomes peaceful and balanced. The person still acknowledges reality but refuses to surrender to despair. Strength returns because hope fuels endurance. Students also live by confession. A student who says, "I'm bad at this subject," unconsciously stops trying. But when God is invited, the confession becomes, I am improving. That simple shift encourages effort. Effort produces growth. Growth builds confidence. Faith confession also guards relationships. Harsh words spoken in anger destroy trust. When God is invited, restraint appears. Words are chosen carefully. Silence becomes wisdom. Peace is preserved. Inviting God into faith confession means choosing words that align with purpose rather than panic. It means speaking life over situations that still look dry. It means declaring growth while still in process. Faith-filled confession does not deny reality. It defines direction. Words spoken repeatedly become beliefs. Beliefs shape actions. Actions create results. When God is invited into faith confession, words stop being random and start being intentional. They lift the spirit, strengthen resolve, and prepare the heart for breakthrough. Today, you have heard more than words. You have received an invitation. An invitation not to try harder alone, not to struggle silently, not to carry the weight of life by yourself, but to walk forward with God involved in every part of who you are. Because when God is invited, nothing remains ordinary. Ordinary thoughts gain power. Ordinary work gains favor. Ordinary decisions gain wisdom. Ordinary words gain authority. Remember this truth deeply. Life does not change when circumstances change. Life changes when alignment changes. When your heart aligns with God, your direction aligns with purpose. And when direction aligns with purpose, provision is never far behind. You may not see everything clearly yet, but clarity always follows obedience. You may not feel strong yet, but strength always follows surrender. There is a famous truth that says, if you want to change your future, change what you do today. And today, what you do differently is this. You stop leaving God outside the practical areas of your life. You stop praying only in pain and start partnering in progress. Because God was never meant to be a last option. He was always meant to be the first voice. Let this echo in your spirit. What you consistently allow in your life will eventually shape your destiny. When you allow fear to lead, fear decides. When you allow pressure to lead, pressure controls. But when you allow God to lead, peace governs, wisdom directs, and strength sustains. God does not rush you, but He never wastes you. Every season you walk through prepared you for what is coming next. You may have walked in here tired, discouraged, or uncertain, but hear this clearly. You are not behind, you are being positioned. The delay was not denial. The struggle was not punishment. The waiting was not wasted. It was shaping your character so you could carry the blessing without breaking under it. There's a powerful truth the world often forgets. What you speak over your life will eventually speak back to you. So speak hope when the road feels long. Speak faith when the answer feels slow. Speak strength when you feel weak. Because the voice you listen to most will determine the future you step into. You were never created to live reacting to life. You were created to live responding to God. And when you respond to God, even the storms begin to serve you. Even challenges refine you. Even closed doors redirect you to better ones. What looks like resistance is often redirection. Let this settle in your heart. God is not preparing blessings for the future. He is preparing you for the blessings. And when preparation is complete, acceleration follows. What took years to build in secret will show up suddenly in public. What felt invisible will become undeniable. So walk forward with confidence, not because everything is perfect, but because God is present. Walk forward with discipline, because consistency outlives motivation. Walk forward with faith, because faith turns uncertainty into possibility. And above all, walk forward with trust, because when God guides your steps, no step is wasted. Carry this with you. You don't need to see the whole path to take the next step. Light always comes step by step. Strength always comes moment by moment. And help always comes right on time. The future is not something to fear. It is something to prepare for with God. And when God is invited, the future does not intimidate you. It responds to you.